And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to being your consumer advocate, all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here. Got a great lineup. We're going to talk with Alex LIMA, Blackbelt Fitness and Martial Arts here on the program. We're going to talk about some of these UFC fights and how they might be, there's kind of leaked rumors that they might be a little bit staged and saying you can't knock out a certain guy, Jake Paul, UFC. So that's pretty cool, pretty topical. We're going to talk about that. Self-defense. And are you sticking to your New Year's resolutions? He's a local area trainer as well, can help you with martial arts and fitness. So we're going to talk with Alex LIMA coming up, Blackbelt Fitness. Cesar Rodriguez is going to visit with us as well, Suncoast Roofing and Solar here on the program. Cesar is a top area contractor, and we're going to talk about things happening in that space, contractor world, and some of those consumer advocate tips, things to do and things to avoid. And last but not least, our friend Fred Mew, Tampa Screens and Aluminum as well here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, longtime friend of the program. Now, we want to give a shout out to Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the program as well, discoverygolfcars.com. And whether you're looking for a something to own or rent, you can do both. You got the Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman. They offer new and pre-owned, and you can rent or buy. They also offer financing and mobile repair. Tampa location, Clearwater location. Check them out online, discoverygolfcars.com. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. We like to feature our real estate listings also as a top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. Out of 25,000 realtor teams, we're in the top 1%, and we like to feature our listings, and that helps us get a maximum exposure for these properties here in Tampa Bay. I've got a beautiful listing on Pompano in Newport Richey. This is 5014 Pompano Drive in Newport Richey. Waterfront property. Beautiful pool home with a private boat dock on a canal with bay access. Bring your boat. Enjoy the best of Florida living here. Deep water canal, wide canal, updated kitchen, beautiful home, completely remodeled and renovated. 5014 Pompano Drive, Newport Richey. And this is in the Newport Richey area, Gulf Harbors area. Beautiful property. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
And let's jump right into it. We got our friend Alex LIMA back on the line, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts. Hey, Alex.
Yes, sir, in the building. How you doing?
Yeah, man. Doing great. And so, New Year's resolutions. It's that time of the year. People are hopefully still hanging on to them. What do you think about these New Year's resolutions?
I mean, I'm not a big proponent of making a goal just like once a year. I think you should do goal setting throughout the year. Same thing with like diet. I hate when people say, "Oh, I'm going on a diet." You're always on a diet. However you eat, how you live, that's your lifestyle, that's your diet. So what you're talking about doing is you're going to tweak, you're going to change what your current diet is. Same thing with setting goals. Like why, it's funny because I've been in the industry as a trainer and as an athlete, for a long time, and I used to work at like commercial gyms as a trainer. And always towards the end of the year, November, December, everybody's partying, eating the big meals, more calorie intake than we should.
Yeah.
The gym starts kind of dying down. You only have like your diehards that stay in throughout. But then the first of the year, I used to kill it with gym membership sales, because people would just like, that New Year's resolution, it's number one for everybody.
That's right. That's right. And then everybody comes in. A lot of the young guys will come in and do bench press. First thing they do is bench press. Let's see how much we can push on that bar instead of really focusing on symmetry or maybe doing legs. That first day, get the legs out of the way, and that's your biggest body part. It's going to create the most momentum for you as far as testosterone goes in the body. I want to talk about this UFC stuff. Give me kind of an overview there. People don't know Dana. You got Dana keeping a lot of the money at the top, and these contracts have some interesting stuff in it, but then you also have these entertainers / boxers like Jake Paul and his brother. It's kind of interesting to see in the fight world what's happening.
Yeah, so like a quick summary, when the UFC at one point, when it started in the early 90s, was like nobody was buying into it. They had a lot of issues putting on the shows. They did one pay-per-view one time where I don't, remember back in the day when like we would buy like the Mike Tyson pay-per-views and like, it would be from like whatever, like 11 o'clock at night to like 1 a.m.
Yep.
Like the pay-per-views only have like a 3-hour time slot or whatever at that point. And the fights, like they didn't have time limits and they were going over time and the pay-per-view cut off. Everybody paid money for this. The pay-per-view cut off before the main event even happened.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
So you couldn't watch it until you bought the VHS or whatever. That's how old we are now. You bought the VHS or like the DVD later on in life. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's great. I remember I rode my bike. I was in school. I was in like middle school. I'd ride my bike over to a video store called Video Hunter's Paradise, and I would rent UFC 1, UFC 2, UFC 3, and see Ken Shamrock and Hoist Gracie and all those great fighters, and they'd break their hand and not be able to move on to the next round, and it was just some really cool stuff back in the day. But let's flash forward to today, 2022. Now you got show business really, coming in. It's kind of a mix between WWF, WWE, and actual, real fighting.
Right. Well, that's what I was getting at. So at that point, like the UFC, like the brand was going under. So they bought it for like, essentially what was a cheap price. I think they bought the whole organization, the name, all the fighters, everything for like $2 million.
Wow.
Which when you're talking about a sport, like they bought a sport essentially for $2 million. That's insane.
Yeah.
So now, jump to today, they had some superstars come through, some big fights, and they built the momentum to where they built legitimacy. And then, later on, within the last few years, they were purchased by, they're essentially owned by Disney because they own ESPN, Fox, all that stuff. It's all under that umbrella. And so now the money, the money is that, Disney doesn't buy anything that isn't going to make killer money,
Sure.
So the money that's coming in is ridiculous. So everybody blames Dana White, but Dana White, they just kind of kept him as like a face. He's just like the CEO, but he's not the one that owns. So like, when it comes to making the decisions about the fighters getting paid, in the past it was them, but now they're owned by like a bigger company, a bigger umbrella company. Yeah, man. And these contracts, but they also purchased the contracts that these fighters came in on. And essentially they're getting paid peanuts, and that's the issue. It's not money to laugh at. Like you can fight in one night and you can walk away with like, if you win, maybe let's say $30,000, $20,000 as a brand new fighter. Not a lot of jobs where you can do that in one day, But it's not, though, because the months of training and things that lead up to it. But essentially, you work for one night and then you get paid this money.
Right.
But then you look at boxers and what these I don't want to say fake boxers because they are in there and throwing punches, but like these guys, the celebrity boxing that's taking place now.
Yeah.
They've never really been in real fights in their life. They're just now, like this guy's fighting career just started, quote unquote fighting career, just started, just within 2 years. And he's making like 20 million, 30 million, 40, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So of course, real fighters that have dedicated their life to it are going to be salty about it,
Yeah, and a lot of that is attributed to his he's developed his sphere of influence, his online followers, and he's an influencer. So, like these Jake Paul and some of these guys, so they bringing that into the table because they started off making, different types of videos, kids would follow them, and they got popular in that realm.
You're absolutely right, and unfortunately in life that's what it comes down to, and that's something that I wish we would get away from a little bit. But it comes down. It doesn't even come down to your talent level. It comes down to your ability to be able to influence.
Yeah,
you don't have to be a great musician. You just have to be marketable. You don't have to be a great fighter. You just got to have a face that's marketable. And it's sad. It's like I'm not claiming that I'm an overall better martial artist or fighter than like Hoist Gracie or whatever, right? But I have a more well-rounded skill set. So why does he have so many people that train under him versus like, the amount of people that train under me? His name. It's like, you're paying for the brand, you're paying for the name, you're paying for it has influence,
Yeah. That's right. And that's like you see now also, kind of switching gears, going to like NCAA athletics, you look at the name, image, likeness. If you're a projected top draft pick, you're going to be able to sign these name, image, likeness contracts, NIL contracts, and make a lot of money as an influencer with social media, or maybe to show up to events. Or we were talking with Mike Murphy on the show, Murphy Auto Group, who's a contributor, expert contributor for our show now, and Tate Martell. And he was giving us some insights into how, they're leveraging their likeness and image to be able to make money as college athletes now.
It's insane. And I'm glad that, these people have a way to make money, but I mean, you're making money literally just because you yourself are marketable. It's not even always because you have this like phenomenal skill set that the world has never seen. Where before it was like you had to be a Muhammad Ali to get that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh, she's cute, or man, he's handsome, and he can play ball a little bit. Okay, you know what? Let's get this guy on a cereal box or start selling T-shirts with his face on it or something.
Yeah. That's right.
That's weird, man.
We're talking with Alex Lima here, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's a trainer. You can work with him individually, or he has groups as well. Can teach you how to fight. He's a martial artist, champion, and Black Belt, of course. Alex, talk a little bit about what you do to help people here locally.
People from all different walks of life come to me. Some people come to me just because they want to learn a little self-defense. Some people are like, the big thing right now is there's kind of like a revival of, all the retro shows and movies. They have that Cobra Kai, they're bringing back the Karate Kid on Netflix. And so, karate schools are kind of starting to get some love again, where before everybody was just kind of all about jiu-jitsu, So the nostalgia of it is coming back. But anyways, people come to me because they're a fan of martial arts movies, or they come to me because self-defense, or they want an interesting way to work out other than just walking on a treadmill and just, doing a bench press. They want to come in and do something that's physical and keeps them moving and it's fun, and when it comes to martial arts, and especially the way that I train and teach is, it's fitness, it's self-defense, and it's also a sport, but it's incredibly fun, and it's a life skill. And I just can't imagine life without it. And everybody that, trains with me for a set amount of time, they all are like in amazement. They're always like, wow, man, this stuff is cool. Or, I never knew it was like this, because you don't know it until you try it. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've had a great time training with you. You're very well, you're a great instructor, rather. You really help the student understand why you're putting him in that position, or how the move is supposed to flow. And it's just a ton of fun. Also, when you think about, sometimes people get caught in the rut, like you said, of just running on a treadmill, or maybe playing a pickup game of basketball. When you go, and work with Alex, you're talking about kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, just straight, regular boxing, and then some of the, the calisthenics type stuff, working out, stretching components. I mean, there's a lot to it. I want to keep you over until the next segment if you can, Alex, if you can hang on with us. We'll take a quick break. We're going to come back more with Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Coming up as well, we got our feel-good story of the day. We got a teacher has snowman mailed from Kentucky to Florida so students can see snow in person. So there's our feel-good story coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online. We would love to connect with you online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter. The Consumer Quarterback Show page out there as well on Facebook. And our YouTube channel has over 1,200 videos on there as well. Brandon Rhymes Realty on YouTube. We'll be right back.
The Consumer Quarterback Show will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Hey, Margie here with the Consumer Quarterback Show and the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. If you're buying, selling, or investing, please give us a shot. We would love to help you. We are a top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay, and you can reach us at 813-750-0550. Call or text 813-750-0550. ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, and a top listing agent in Tampa Bay, featured in Florida Realtor Magazine, Top Agent Magazine, The Business Journal. We're looking for inventory. Attention sellers, we need more inventory to sell. If you're a seller on the fence thinking about selling your property, we want to hear from you. Free comparable market analysis. Check out consumerqb.com.
Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. We got a hot listing over at 820 Pinellas Avenue in Tarpon Springs. You've got great walkability at this commercial property. It could be a single-family home as well, but I think it's the highest and best would be commercial property. 820 Pinellas Avenue, Tarpon Springs. Walkability. You walk to restaurants. You walk to the main street there where you've got all those sponge docks and all those attractions and stores. Beautiful property here. It could be a professional business, attorney office, real estate office, insurance office, etc. 820 Pinellas Avenue in Tarpon Springs. Beautiful flooring and a great property here in Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And we're back here in studio helping you win. Alex Lima is our expert contributor for all things relating to self-defense, martial arts, getting in shape, fitness. And Alex, we talk about at-risk kids as well. So at-risk children, we've got an open southern border. There's an uptick in gang activity and just so many undocumented people coming into the country. Talk to me a little bit about the risk there for with some of these kids.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's terrible. Actually, I was driving by a store the other day, and there was a table booth set up. It kind of looked like one of those, those like petition booths where they have you get in the signatures. And as I drove by, the banner said, giant banner said, "Stop school violence." I mean, this, it's a thing. This is real, and I think it's because people don't. I mean, we only know the big ones, like unfortunately, like Columbine, names like that. But violence happens all the time, and it's not always like a mass shooting, a kid getting beat up in a bathroom or a girl being assaulted, or it's these things are real, man. They're in the real world, and especially when it comes to the children, it's worse because children are not mature enough mentally, physically, emotionally to be able to handle these kind of situations, and nor should they have to. They shouldn't be. We shouldn't have a world where you have to worry about potentially getting shot or getting attacked. But the reality is that we do live in this kind of world. Like, these things exist. You can't just pretend they don't exist.
Yeah.
So you have to prepare for it, and you have to have people in place, to defend against these things. Like one of these jobs, we haven't talked about it too much, but I did private security for a while, and I started off as a bouncer, and then I became an armed guard, and then I started doing some some bodyguard work, and then I got picked up by a company that put me in schools as a resource officer. So I was an armed officer in schools protecting children, and I went into work every day wearing a bulletproof vest, and I had my firearm, and I protected kids. I went to different assignments all the way from like the preschool, like little like BPK age, all the way up to high school. So I've been with every demographic, and I've seen the challenges that they face. And, it's not always what you think, that like a school shooting or a kid getting beat up. Sometimes these kids are like in an abusive home, and you have to watch out for a parent or somebody coming by, some crazy relative or somebody, There's a lot of risk factors that I think people don't always grasp the concept of.
Yep.
So self-defense, it's just always important. And I don't know, it's one of these things that I think it should be taught in schools and be part of our way of life, just like I think like how to do your taxes should be, Yeah. Like these are just like life essentials. These are things that like you need to know. And unfortunately, the majority of the population does not, but I guess that's where I come in that I've dedicated my life to this stuff, and I just have an insight and a level of knowledge that, you know, I'm just dying to show people, like, because I want people to be able to protect themselves and their children, you know?
Yeah, now more than ever. I mean, we have this open southern border that's become a political football, and it's just unbelievable to see, you know, how it's playing out. I got a quick clip I'm going to play about our open southern border, letting all types of people that want to cause harm to our country and come over and sponge off of our tax-paying citizens.
The reason they're coming is that it's the time they can travel with the least likelihood of dying on the way because of the heat in the desert, number one. Number two, they're coming because of the circumstances in country.
But that just doesn't align with the data. From 2012 to 2020, it is true that there were seasonal patterns to illegal immigration. Each year, from the end of February until June, there were a clear increase in migrants, which came to be known as travel season. Yeah. But that all changed in 2021. The numbers rose continually each month and really didn't slow down as the weather got colder the way it had in years past. And Republicans say it's not a coincidence. That happened immediately after President Biden took office. They say migrants have been incentivized to come here illegally, with Democrat leaders promising free health care and other government benefits to everyone, regardless of immigration status. They also say that Democrat policies have incentivized migrant parents to send their kids alone because unaccompanied minors are often given preferential treatment in the process. To that point, of the 178,000 illegal immigrant encounters in December, 11,000 were unaccompanied children, and 2/3 were single adults.
So think about that, Alex. You know, all these unaccompanied minors coming across the border. I mean, we've had, you know, U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking on the show, John Long. That organization does a lot of good. But you've got unaccompanied minors, and of course the government has the carrot out there of free health care and free a lot of other things. Of course, giving them transportation wherever they want to go. Of course, these people are going to flock to the border, and then you know, you look at also the risk of drugs, fentanyl, criminals, gangs coming over, and it's also emboldening and enriching the cartels.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very enticing. Obviously, I can imagine. You know, my family, you know, immigrated from essentially a third world country, and you know, and I know like places like, you know, Mexico and stuff. They're super dangerous, and people are always looking for just a chance to do things for a better life. You know, and that's why essentially. It's hard because there are some people that they want a better life and they're just trying to do the right thing. But what comes with that is also, you know, your criminals and your drugs and your gang members and stuff that are trying to come. There's no way to. It's very difficult to just filter it out. To only let the good in and not let things slip through the cracks. You know.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I was a kid growing up, I grew up in, you know, a pretty rough neighborhood, and there was gang activity, and you know, and I knew gang members. I was friends with some of them, and. I was never in like a gang specifically myself, but I would go out with these guys sometimes, and I would just see like what this world was like, and I was like, man, this is nuts. So nowadays it's even worse because the weaponry is high tech. We're smarter as how we rip people off, and
yep.
And you know, the level of criminal that is coming through is it's essentially like an evolved criminal. You know, it's bizarre because like. Criminals and scumbags and bad people seem to be evolving while people were de-evolving from defending ourselves and fighting and protecting and trying to uphold the good, it seems. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
It's crazy. Like the negative seems to take over. Like we need some more strength and positivity in this world. And it's bizarre to me. I don't get it. You know, We have to do something though.
Yeah, and that's illegal immigration versus legal immigration. You know, my grandparents and you know, your family, as you mentioned, that's legal immigration. We're talking about these people coming through millions. I think it's in the millions at this point, close to 2 million. But yeah, so final thoughts here. We got about 30 seconds for you. How can people connect with you, Alex?
Man, you can just reach out, you know, 813-426-1588. You can shoot me an email. You can always find me on Instagram. I get a lot of messages on Instagram all the time, people asking me. You know, it comes in waves. I have a lot of new clients coming in, and I love working with new people, but I love the people that have stuck around. They continue to evolve, and they actually kind of become like assistant coaches. They get to show new people the ropes. So it's the family just keeps growing, you know?
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for spending some time with us. Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts, Black Belt _ Jitsu as well. You can find him on social. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Cesar Rodriguez joining us, and he is with Suncoast Roofing, longtime friends of the program. We're going to talk about contractor tips, things to do, things to avoid, and consumer advocacy here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online. check out Spotify, check out iTunes, download our podcast. That way you can catch our show on demand anytime. We'll be right back.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Thanks, Alex. Until next time.
Hey, man, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Cesar, we're just going to do a reset here, and then we'll get going again, okay?
Not a problem.
Okay, thanks for standing by. You in your ear earlier? Usually if I talk to you in your ear during commercial break, I've got your mic turned off so you can respond.
Oh, okay, cool.
Also,
Five, four, three, two, one. You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right. Welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, always featuring our real estate listings live on air, helping our sellers profit more on the sale of their real estate properties. And we got a hot listing here in Tampa Bay. This is a development opportunity, 12631 Hobson Simmons Road. This is in Hillsborough County. Great opportunity for builders, entrepreneurs, even folks that are looking to build their own home. You got 12 acres. He could sell the whole thing, or he could sell also 1 acre plots. He's got a single family home that he's going to etch out about an acre to keep for himself. But it's 12631 Hobson Simmons Road. Owners motivated. Great opportunity to purchase real estate here in Tampa Bay. Also got another vacant lot on 2 Oak Avenue in Palm Harbor. This is a waterfront, canal front vacant lot, build your dream home opportunity here in Tampa Bay. 2 Oak Avenue in Palm Harbor. Lake access rather. You have access to the Lake Tarpon Turtle restaurant right on the lake there, and just a great opportunity to have that boater lifestyle experience that Best of Florida has to offer. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we're going to introduce our next 2 contributors here. We've got Cesar Rodriguez, Suncoast Roofing, also Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Cesar, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. And you are the branch manager, Bonita and Tampa locations. And Fred Muth, welcome back as well, my friend.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Kind of a round table experience here with 2 of our best expert contributors, contractors, experts on the program here, and longtime friends of the program as well, respectively. You guys have been involved with the show 5, 6, 7 years now, I believe. And I want to go to Cesar first. Cesar, talk to me about supply chain. What's happening out there?
Shingles has gotten significantly better. The turnaround time is much better, and it seems like the manufacturers are catching up. GAF's done a really good job with production and getting the material back in our hands. Metal is looking good as well, but tile still lags behind. We're looking at 3 months from the time we place a tile order till we're getting delivery. They have not seemed to be able to catch up since the COVID restrictions were in place. And that's really the one that's lagging behind on everything else. And the glaring thing in the room is pricing. And we were talking before we came on live that everything just seems to be going up. And we've had more price increases over the past 2 years than we've had in a previous 10 years. So that continues to be something that we have to work with and educate our customers and try to get them the most economical option, best performing option that will fit their budget.
Yeah, that's frustrating for all stakeholders. Even the contractors, they're constantly having to update their pricing or enter into contracts that kind of protect them from that downside. And then the customers, of course, the clients that are purchasing, they're frustrated because they don't really know what their true cost is going to be, accurate cost. Fred, are you seeing similar?
Same thing. You took the words right out of my mouth, Cesar. Metal is at a premium right now, and all metals. And for example, I spoke with one of my home builders yesterday, and I asked him how he's doing with the supply chain issue. His response to me was, windows are 28 weeks out after you place the order. Trussing is 30 weeks out after you place the order. Trussing is not the wood that is in short supply; it's the metal fasteners that hold the trusses together.
Wow!
And I did not ever think in this industry I would see such a backlog with product.
Right.
I try to convince the homeowner without sounding pushy that don't sit on the fence too long. Move for the project. Move forward with the project so we can get things in at a lower price, because pricing will continue to escalate. We have not seen anything come down in the past 2 years, I would say. And from my history in this business, it continues to climb as long as the housing market is where it's at right now, which is very good for business, but it's not good for pricing. Pricing is rough. And what is good, if the homeowner does the mathematical equation and figures what the house is worth today versus what it was a year ago, now the $17,000 screen room doesn't seem so out of line. Whereas that $17,000 screen room could have been $14,000 a year or two ago.
Right. Yeah, you're seeing that as well. What about Cesar? What are you seeing on as far as plywood? You get those that decking when you got to replace the decking.
We've been we went way up for a while. We saw it come back down, and we're seeing a little spike in it going back up right now. Not as bad as it was. I would talk to the homeowners and say, if you're dealing with a contractor and you're getting a roof, make sure that they have a wood addendum that is spelled out, because that would be the biggest fraudulent thing I see out there is contracts that have the wood is kind of buried in there and you don't really know what the pricing is. On Suncoast roofing contracts, on the front page, large, you have to sign that you recognize what we charge per piece of wood, and we provide a photo report after every roof that's done that has a picture of every piece of bad wood before and after when we replaced it. So there's accountability there. I can show you what was done on your roof. You know, especially the elderly, they're not going to get up on their roof. They're not going to stand outside and watch something be done.
Right.
So with the prices being higher than they typically are, I feel like it's even more important to really pay attention to how your contractor is treating you and educating you and bringing you through the process.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're providing the photo evidence, the proof, and then you're also talk to me a little bit about how that process plays out up front. I think people are confused, and sometimes these contractors come in and they have confusing language in the contracts, and then they also ask for high deposits that can also scare some people away.
Yeah, we don't. You know, typically, as long as it's not a massive job, we're only asking for 10% upfront of the job. We're a large enough company that we can absorb buying our own material, floating that cost until the job is completed. So I see a lot of contractors out there. They're basically asking for the entire material up front. They're asking 40%, 50% of the job up front. Unless you're getting into a large project where you're talking about $100,000 of material, which of course nobody wants to float that amount, but then you're going up into a much larger bracket, and that's okay to ask for that. When I'm dealing with a homeowner, I'm sitting at their kitchen table, I'm spelling it out, and I'm showing them on the contract. This is the price of plywood per sheet installed.
Yeah.
This is the price of fascia wood per linear foot installed. And we go through it line by line before they sign anything, so I make sure they understand. You know, typically we'll include a sheet or two or something like that, but they need to know that above and beyond, this is what it's going to cost, and that we're going to provide documentation that shows what we replace, and we're not just randomly replacing entire sheets of plywood. If we find, you know, a small bad spot, we'll cut and rip that spot out, and we'll put a smaller piece in instead of charging you for a full sheet when it wasn't even necessary.
Yeah, that's great. And if you just joined us, we're talking with Cesar Rodriguez, Suncoast Roofing, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, longtime friends of the program here, and another great example of ways that you can support the local economy by supporting our show. Reach out, 813-917-1894. You can call or text our hotline, 813-917-1894. If you need any roofing done or roofing and solar, and then also Tampa Screens and Aluminum here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Fred Muth can help you put on a screen room. Fred, any of that kind of resonate with you as well?
Absolutely. We're very similar the way we operate. You know, we're 15% on a deposit. You know, if it's a $15,000 project and we can't get a permit for 3 months, we don't want to hold your money that long. We take 15 up front. We order materials typically once a permit hits, and we sit and wait. And we may wait another 3 or 4 months to receive the materials. And again, we don't want to sit on 40, 50% deposit while we're waiting on materials. And then typically the job is paid in full once it's done, once it's completed. In our case, to be determined would be, for example, fascia board, like Cesar mentioned. A lot of times we replace a cage. Cage was up for 20 years. I almost guarantee there's some wood issues, probably unforeseen until the cage comes down. And then, of course, it's per linear foot price on the fascia board. But it's really rough to find guys that want to do that kind of work. It's just they are so busy. The one fellow I know, he's backed up till May. That takes care of our fascia board jobs. One project, the customer just hired a roofer. I don't know who they hired, Cesar. They got their own roofer, and we took the cage down in November, and the roofer is supposed to be on site, I think, this week, completed. So, I mean, you know, that's the backlog. And, you know, it was minor. It was maybe 120 feet of fascia board and a couple rafter tails and, you know, a little bit of sheathing involved. But, you know, the industry is so backed up, lots of work. You know, the housing market's great, and as long as it continues, it's going to continue. You know, as long as the housing market continues in the direction it's going, we're all going to be extremely busy for a long time. You weren't thinking about retiring, were you, Cesar?
Oh, absolutely not. Not in the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And by the way, Fred, we've got an interesting article here, too. 16% of all Florida homes purchased last year, 2021, were in Tampa. 16% out of the entire state of Florida. And in 2021, we saw over 350,000 homes purchased for a market volume of $177 billion. And that's up over $50 billion from 2020. So, yeah, I don't see a slowdown happening. I see a lot of movement still moving into the great state of Florida, the free state of Florida, thanks to our great governor, Ron DeSantis. Let's take a quick break. We're going to be right back here. More with Cesar Rodriguez, Suncoast Roofing on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Fred Muke, Tampa Screens and Illumina as well. And think about that outside space on your home if you want to add screen room onto your patio, your lanai, your pool area, cage, your pool cage. We're going to talk more with our two contractor expert contributors here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, plus our feel-good story of the day. I love this story, especially for the young kids. Can you imagine you had a teacher that has a snowman mailed from Kentucky to Florida so students can see snow in person and a snowman actually in person. So a feel-good story of the day coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is Diane Vance with Fairway Independent Mortgage, a member of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Please give me a call for any of your mortgage needs. We do all sorts of loans. If you would like information on a mortgage, you can text me or call me at 727-647-8199. I will take care of all your mortgage needs. Go to my website at dianevance.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in
813-917-1894.
Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing. Check out consumerqb.com.
Looking for a venue to host your next business or family event? Make it Largo Event Center. The Consumer Quarterback Show has used the Largo Event Center, and the hall and service you get is fantastic. Over 8,500 square feet of meeting space, perfect for events, expos, and trade shows. Upstairs offers space for smaller meetings and groups to include use of their lounge and game room. Plenty of room outside for car shows or food truck events and concerts. Largo Event Center is just west of US 19 on 126th Avenue. For booking and details, visit largoeventcenter.com. That's largoeventcenter.com. Or call Guy at 727-776-3442.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. I love this story. This is a great feel-good story. Every day we tell you something positive here.
Tell me something good.
So this is creativity from a teacher. She's a special ed teacher who lives in Florida here. So out of Danville, Kentucky. So this is a teacher that had a snowman mailed from Kentucky to Florida so students can see snow in person. And people in Florida don't often get the chance to see snow. But for some lucky kids in the Sunshine State, there was enough in Kentucky earlier this month to share. So what happened is a school teacher called her sister up in Kentucky and said, hey, I want you to mail me a snowman. I want you to overnight him to me so I can see if he can make it to the school so these kids in Florida can see snow. Said Robin Hughes, a special education teacher who lives in Florida, and she called her sister Amanda Estes, and they wrapped up the snowman. They called him Lucky. His name was Lucky. They want to see him in hopes of getting to Florida intact. So she said she put him inside a package, wrapped him up in foil, and we put ice packs in and sealed him up. And so they went to the classroom. The kids opened it, and just pure joy of seeing that snowman. Hugh said to me, that's what teaching is about. Lucky is still a huge hit in the classroom in the school, and she says she loves to get creative and help the kids learn to think outside the box. So there's our feel-good story of the day. That's a pretty cool story. I love that. Lucky got sent down to Florida from Kentucky. So there's your feel-good story of the day. All right, we got our expert contributors joining us today. Cesar Rodriguez, Suncoast Roofing branch manager with Suncoast Roofing, Tampa and Bonita office locations. And also Fred Mute, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, longtime friends of the program here. Talking about all things relating to real estate and the contractor world. So I want to go around and just kind of get top tips from you guys, top tips, nuggets of advice, and words of wisdom. Cesar, let's start with you. Give us some of your words of wisdom here for folks whenever they're considering hiring a contractor.
Well, I already touched on one of them. It's make sure that you're going over, whoever the estimator that comes out is, that they're going over any hidden costs, anything that's going to be above and beyond that contract price. In our case, that is only the wood for the roof. And we go over it extensively, letting them know what any costs are going to be, whether it be plywood, fascia wood, 2x4 for rafter tails, any of those things, and get that out in front of them so there's no surprises afterwards. I think that's very important. I think it's important to check up on your contractors, see how they rate with the Better Business Bureau, look at their reviews, find out who you're dealing with, what they're like in the community. Suncoast Roofing loves to give back to the community. We do community events. We get our faces out there. We live in these communities. We roof in these communities, and we want to give back as much as possible. And then, on top of everything else, make sure they're giving you advice of how to maintain your roof. Because when you get a brand new roof, you don't want to be re-roofing it again because nobody told you to cut your trees back, to blow your gutters out, how to maintenance this roof. So you want somebody that's going to have good knowledge that they pass on to you in a simple way that's understandable, and be patient with the homeowner and let you know how this process works and make you feel at ease. And I think that's the most important things you can do when you're talking to a homeowner.
Yeah, that's some good tips right there, Cesar. Appreciate that. Fred Mute, same question to you, my friend.
I've always mentioned that I encourage my potential customer to ask as many questions as comes to their mind. There's no question that is, in my opinion, redundant or unnecessary. And I recall going back to the day when I bought my first screen room from the Northeast, I came down and I had no clue what a screen room was. And I asked so many questions. The contractor was very, very helpful with answering the questions. So I knew exactly what would happen once the job went in. When the job went in, there was no questions asked. There's, in the construction industry, including roofing, and Cesar would probably agree, there could always be a surprise on the back end. And there's nothing worse in the construction industry as to a surprise on the back end. I try not to complicate my estimates. However, I do offer, for example, the option that I offer typically is whether they want the panoramic view or the non-pano view. And I've heard, a couple horror stories in the industry where the customer chose another contractor and they never offered the pano view, and the customer did not know it was available. So they wanted the pano view and they never got it. And that happens. And I don't typically try to sell a lot of unnecessary bells and whistles in this industry because, like all industries, this industry is commission-based. And in some cases, the more bells and whistles a salesman can sell, the more commission they can make on the job. But that's not me. I can't even see it in that light. I have to look at it as though I were selling the job to myself. And that's where we're going. Pretty much everybody with the company, they feel the same way. When I started working with them, they knew who I worked with in the past, and they knew that when I started with that company, the owner said to me, if you can't sell it to yourself, don't even sell for our company. And I really like that concept. And that's always stuck in my mind.
Yeah, I like that as well. That's a good way to think of it. Have that consultative approach, that educational approach to working with your clients. That's one of the big things we do with our real estate, transactions. It's a constant educational process. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, you're always educating throughout the process. Cesar Rodriguez, Suncoast Roofing here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, Fred Mute, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Support the local economy by supporting our local area expert contributors, contractors. They are involved in the community, supporting the show. You've heard Chuck Peterson over the years as well. Chuck is a longtime contributor, as well as Mary Cernicki as well on the show. And please think of them whenever you go to purchase or make these different additions to your properties. 813-917-1894. You call or text that hotline, 813-917-1894. And you can also check out consumerqb.com. That's our website, consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors. All right, final thoughts to you, Cesar, Suncoast Roofing.
Final thoughts are vet your contractors. Make sure you maintenance your roof and be educated. Be an educated consumer, and you will never be let down. That is it.
Awesome. Say hello to the team, and thanks so much for joining us here, Cesar. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. My pleasure as well. Fred Muth, final thought to you, my friend.
Final thoughts are, let's let this virus sleep so I can get back in the studio. I used to enjoy coming in that studio. I loved the energy that was. As soon as you walk in the door, you felt the energy. Anyway,
yeah, we miss you, man.
I miss it. It's going to soon. I'll be back. My final thoughts are in the business. If you hesitate too long, you may pay the price right now, since pricing is constantly going in an upward direction. And I have a lot of very educated customers that have called me and say, I want to get on the list. Come on out. And that's a good way to do it, because they're going to buy the screen room regardless. If they wait 6 months, they're going to pay more money.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it now. It's very similar with financing on real estate as well. You see the rates are creeping up on the mortgage side, so you have that cost factor increasing, and every $1,000 you finance, it's going up that percentage rate on the finance side. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things you want to do it now and get in the game. And Fred, you. Longtime friend of the program here. Appreciate you calling into the program.
Thank you.
And say hello to everybody at the team for us.
I sure will. My pleasure.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. So, yeah, two great examples of local area business owners, and then also Alex Lima in the first part of the show, Blackbelt Fitness and Martial Arts. Support the local economy by supporting the show. We greatly appreciate that. And, when you look at where we're at right now, January, February, early part of the year, resolutions, as Alex was talking about, New Year's resolutions, hey, are you sticking to those? Are you staying with your path? The key is focus, the power of focus, and it boils back to the 80-20 rule. If you think about 80% of your results coming from 20% of your actions, that's the power of focus. So if you can focus on those things that you can control, and then outside of that, how can you skill up? How can you develop more skills? If you want to continue to grow your business or even in personal life, you're going to grow those skill sets. Focus on the things that you can control and grow the skill sets that are going to attribute to your success. And I talk about that when I teach Win with Sellers classes and certified negotiation expert classes at the Realtor Boards here in Tampa Bay. So focus on the things you can control, skill up, focus on adding skills and differentiating from your competitors, and that's a winning combination. So we want to thank all of our expert contributors, all of the producers involved with the show, all the folks checking out the show, engaging with the show, calling up the hotline. We greatly appreciate it, and we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community, and we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you check out consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.